Hi guys, Dave in Texas here, and what I'm trying to show you today are these different aspects of these potentiometers I've been talking about. Why the Gibsons are the ones I prefer, the ones I recommend, and some of the basics of the potentiometer and what you should be aware of you're getting. Now, a friend of mine said, he pays anywhere from 50 cents to $2 for these things, and they have values that could be up as much as 10% off. Well, you know what? When you get something like that, say for example, you had bought 24 of these things. Out of that 24, you can match up 4 of them that are, say, on the 440 to 460 ranges. 4 of those. That way you know what you're getting. You're getting a match set, or as matched as close as you possibly can for those potentiometers. So you know that when you dial in a 5 on the volume of guitar for the front pup and a 5 on the volume for the back pup, you're getting an equal blend. But if, say for example, you've got a 500 on the front pup control on the potentiometer and a 410 on the back one, well, 5 and 5 on the dial, they don't equal each other on the output. It's just that simple. So you have to become aware of how that guitar is made and how it plays and what it sounds like, much more than just saying, okay, fine, I'll dial on 5 and 5 on the control knobs and they'll equal each other, or 6 and 4, whatever it may be. Is where I'm going? I sure hope so. Now, the reason I choose Gibson over other potentiometers is that of the many I've used, I have yet to find any that are below 490. Now, I'm sure they're out there, especially now. But these older ones, they've always been over 490, and they've always been hot, 525, 530. And you can choose between a short shaft and a long shaft. Here they both are. These are brand new. And here's how they come, right? Now, as you can see on the long shaft, it has these 2 nubs here that there and on the other side that stick up. These are used to balance them against the carved top of a Les Paul, so that you have an equal plane once they are put through the guitar's bottom or the control cabinet. For the control knobs, you can bend these to shape any way you want to shape them, as well as you can adjust the height of your control knob by having a second nut on this shaft. So this would actually stick way through and be sticking way high up on the out on the surface of the guitar, or just turn it the other way and glue it down with some Loctite to where it's barely sticking out, right? So it's all in fine tune and adjustment. And also you can see readily these are brass, let's say bronze shafts, right? These threads. Now, let me show you a cheap one from China sitting beside here. Well, the first thing you notice is that it's just base steel, made of base steel. And the threads are made of base steel. Whoops, it's falling apart on me. I've got to take it apart to show you something inside later. Now, the problem with base steel is that it corrodes readily. And this stuff in here is no example. That's just junk coming from a junk bag or my drawer of shame that I keep these things in. Just throw them in there, right? This is not normal. These are too new to have all that junk in there, but they will corrode and they will become harder and harder to turn. They have to be cleaned more often. Anyway, those are the 3 types that I've got here. I also have a B potentiometer that I'll show you as well. They're kind of rare these days because they're so tough to manufacture. They're very expensive to get your hands on as well, since they don't make them that often. I think they may not make them anymore unless you have to special order them. Now, inside these things, that's the difference. The internal parts make the difference, right? So I'm going to show you the inside of this one first, the cheap one. First of all, I don't know if you can see it or not without this glare, but when you open these up, even for the very first time, they're clean on the inside. You don't see any type of gel to protect these from any type of rust, deterioration, or buildup, or anything to help them lubricate them. They're all just clean. You'll also see, if I can get this darn camera to focus, that the silver part, or the polished steel part, and that little indentation there, right there, is what adjusts. Come on, baby. The volume or tone against this little wafer here. And you can see the wafer is actually printed on this piece of brown plastic. And yeah, you can scratch it and it's ruined. So anything contaminant gets inside this thing and scratches that little black piece of printing, it's ruined. All right. So let's show you the inside of a good one. First thing you'll notice is this thing has got a lot of pinkish goo in it, right? Well, that's to help lubricate the potentiometer, as well as helps stop any type of corrosion that might take place inside the potentiometer, right? Also inside here, you'll notice that you'll see the same black little strip, right? But the difference in that is that that little black strip is actually a piece. It's not printed on this lighter brown wafer. It's actually attached to it. It's thicker, it's better made, it's more precise than the Chinese one. So there's a cost value involved in manufacturing. Here's one of the lesser value. See where that stops? Those stops are in there with this silver to adjust the volume, or say adjust the value of this potentiometer. All right, and if you'll notice on this Gibson, the newer ones have a silver polished metal interior circle that shaft glides across. The older ones have a bronze. Whoops. I probably can't see too well, but trust me, this is bronze, the other one's silver. And it's also bringing me to a point that the for some reason I can tell just by handling so often that these newer Gibson potentiometers don't weigh as much as the older ones. And I do know that the Gibson factory has been introducing, or whoever makes these for Gibson, Gibson's introducing these vintage potentiometers that I haven't seen them before. I've just read about them. That I think they may be the old spec that still have the bronze shaft instead of this thing, as well as they're heavier weighted because these are getting lighter. Now, to make the Gibson potentiometer, here's a Gibson shaft, right? Still has the polished steel, okay? And if you look at it, it's the bronze screw threads. Come on, camera, give me a break. There it goes. Right? Bronze screw threads. And the interior of it is this really long, heavy, bronze solid shaft. That adds to the weight of this tremendously. Well, this one's broken on the tip, that's why it's being replaced. Right? Let me show you one that's still in one piece. Oh, here's a CTS one. it has the bronze shaft. However, it's a one-piece, not a two-piece. And it still has the bronze sweeper plate on it. But it goes across a thin printed connector, or black semicircle, right? It goes across a printed one on this, on its interior, as compared to a Gibson that's two pieces, right? See that? That's two pieces. That's glued on top of that brown wafer. And that's starting to show you what the difference is. Now, here's the sweep arm of a Gibson. Now, bear with me because I had to break this thing loose because it's not meant to be taken apart. It's bronze or brass or whatever the hell it is. It's polished, and it's attached to a separate plastic wafer, and it has all this goo in it, or on it. The Gibsons have all this all over them, right? The others, I have not seen any that have that on it very much. Now, here's one, the CTS, that has some of it. They have a tiny bit compared to the Gibson as far as that lubricant is concerned. This is CTS. This is the Gibsons. See that? They're using the same materials. It's probably the same company making them, but totally different spec. Now, what else can I show you? I can show you the sweep arm of a Chinese one. Again, I had to rip it out of there to show it to you. All right, see how it's just polished metal? This is Gibson. Okay. Where's that CTS again? This is CTS sweep arm. Come on, camera. All right, there's the Gibson CTS sweep arm and the Chinese sweep arm. And again, this doesn't look like this. I had to just pry it out of the part because these aren't meant to take apart. Here's a piece of the Chinese. Just again, the underside of the Chinese part. Now it's printed on there. And what else did I show you? Oh yeah, the interior part of the Chinese is clean. They use no lubricant. Now, last thing I want to show you is a different type of potentiometer. Right? This is the B type potentiometer. And the reason why these are becoming more and more rare. Oh shit. Alright, first of all, it does have lubricant in here. It's a different type of lubricant. And if you'll look, if I can get this damn camera to focus, the sweep arm is made of bronze, but oh, please, come on, damn it. And that's that white on there. It's reflecting too much, guys. Sorry. If I can take it apart a bit. The sweep arm is attached, and it works to the interior side. There it is. Now you can see it. Those are the sweep arms right there, both of them. They're both bronze, right? You can't tell it very well, but they are. Both of those are bronze. And the way it adjusts, you see that the solvent or the lubricant on there as well. The way they adjust the tone is on the interior part of this potentiometer, right there on its sides. That's the black material, right there. That goes all the way around this thing instead of on it. You can see how this thing is made. It's much more intricate made than these other potentiometers. Now, is its value any greater than, say, the Gibson? Yes, it is. It's much more precise. Much more precise. However, this is a much harder instrument, or much harder part to manufacture. Therefore, it costs more. You'll see these two metal connectors and the bronze connector is separate, right? on this thing, the way it's made. Come here, baby. Like that. And of course, the shaft is just plain polished steel, not bronze. It's a split shaft, but it's a solid split shaft. It's not a knurled split shaft. And normally this would not go onto a guitar. I don't know where I got this thing, but the whole thing about this part is that it is very, very tough to manufacture one of these things. I mean, very tough. And that's why the industry is getting away from them. They're expensive to make. Yes, they are precise, but the precision required with guitars can be accomplished with those very nicely made Gibsons as compared to this. Now, I think you can buy them now for these in particular. I know those are $22, but I think you can buy some B types from China for like $5 or $6, maybe even $2 or $3 cheap. But they're going to be cheaply made. And will the precision be the same? No. This is a very precise B type. And you can just see how this thing's manufactured, how much more involved this thing is than just a regular potentiometer. Even putting it together. And once that interior black surface is scratched, it's ruined. That is ruined, right? See how it's connected? The interior part of that is what that sweep arm touches to adjust the volume. Now this is a 1 to 10 value. It doesn't go from 0 to 500. It goes from 1 to 10. And this one stops working at 8. In other words, it was going from 1 to 10, just exactly the way it was made, but became damaged and started working from 0 to 8. So I took it out to show you guys. Since it's no longer working, I thought, well, there's a good way to explain all this. Now, would I prefer to have this on the guitars rather than a Gibson? No, not really. I still think the original specs on the Gibsons. Let me show you an old Gibson one. This is an old Gibson long shaft. Where are you, camera? This is an old Gibson long shaft potentiometer. A chance to focus. There you go. And all these others out of the way. Here is a new one. And the reason you can tell the difference, the way you can tell the difference between an old one and a new one, is that color variance between the two supports. See this? The old one's darker than the new one. And when I pick this up, it's lighter than this one. I can just feel it. Even when it's clean, has no solder on it, it's just heavier than this one. So something in that spec has changed for Gibson, whoever makes these for Gibson. You follow me? So, Dave in Texas, any questions about these, be sure to give me a holler. I'd be more than happy to help you if I can. And that's all I have to say about potentiometers and why I suggest buying Gibsons and paying the extra price over these cheaper ones, including like CTSs. I just think they're just much better made and just worth the extra money. In the long run, I think you'll be happier with them.